My sister announced at Mother's birthday dinner that I had always been the failure. She forgot who had been paying the bills. My sister chose my mother's 75th birthday dinner to call me the family failure. You have to admire the venue selection. There were 14 of us around the table, 3 generations. Roast chicken, good china, my mother's best crystal. Candles too close to the hydrangea centerpiece because my niece insists on romantic tablescapes, and no one has the heart to tell her flame, and dried petals are not a partnership. It was the kind of dinner families stage for photographs and survive by wine. I had cooked half of it. Of course I had. I always cook. This is one of the lesser-known hazards of being considered disappointing in a family. People continue relying on you in highly practical ways because competence and prestige are not always awarded to the same child. My older sister, Vanessa, had arrived late in a silk blouse and apology perfume. She air-kissed everyone, brought imported macarons no one actually wanted because there was already cake, spoke loudly about traffic as if she had fought a civil battle and emerged decorated. Vanessa has been successful in the official family sense for 20 years. Big title, big house, 2 private schools, a husband who says EBITDA at social events without visible shame. I, on the other hand, was divorced at 38, freelanced from home for a decade, and moved back to our hometown at 46 to help care for our mother after her second hip surgery. In family mythology, this made Vanessa accomplished and me unfortunate. In factual terms, it made Vanessa photographed and me useful. These are not the same thing. Dessert had just been served when my nephew said something harmless about career changes, and my mother, poor woman, glanced at me and said, "Lena's always been resilient." A kind sentence, a true sentence. Vanessa laughed. That was the sound that changed the evening. Not loud, not cruel on its face, just amused in the way a person becomes when they think everyone present has already agreed on their hierarchy. "Oh, Mom," she said, setting down her champagne flute. "Lena's many things, but let's not rewrite history. She's always been the family failure with the best attitude." The table went still. People love to tell you when rooms go silent after an insult. What they forget to mention is how noisy your body becomes. My pulse, my ears, the fork in my hand against the plate. Failure. I looked at my mother first. Never start with the performer. Start with the wound. My mother looked stricken, which meant Vanessa had not meant it as a joke and my mother knew it. Good. I turned to my sister. "Excuse me?" Vanessa smiled, as though I were being overly literal. "Oh, don't do that. You know what I mean." I did. That was the problem. If you've ever had someone say something monstrous, and then try to wrap it in humor when challenged, comment one. Cowardice is often conversational. Let me tell you what family failure meant in my house. It meant I didn't become a lawyer like Vanessa. It meant my marriage ended publicly and unattractively. It meant I made money in uneven years and not in tidy salary increments. It meant I wore practical shoes and forgot to answer Christmas card texts and did not cultivate the polished spectacle of thriving. What it did not mean was irresponsible. What it did not mean was dependent. What it absolutely did not mean was less loyal. Because while Vanessa was posting filtered anniversary dinners and business-class airport lounges, I was the one driving our mother to oncology consults when a shadow on a scan turned out thankfully to be nothing. I was the one handling medication charts, roof repairs, tax mail, grocery lists, social security forms, and every hidden administrative labor that keeps old age from becoming chaos. I was also, though no one at that table knew it yet, the one paying the deficit on our mother's monthly household costs for the last 18 months. Quietly, because dignity is expensive when pensions are small and prescription plans become jokes. My mother did not know the full extent of it because I had arranged it that way. Her pride mattered to me. Vanessa's image of herself mattered much more to Vanessa. And so, like many sisters before us, we had built an ecosystem around unequal reality and called it family, until she got bored and lit a match. "Vanessa," I said very evenly, "would you like to explain what you mean?" She waved a hand. "Lena, please. You always take everything so seriously, because words mean things." Oh my God. There it was. Female contempt in its purest domestic form. The eye roll of a person who believes her status exempts her from accountability. My niece stared into her plate. My brother-in-law suddenly found the wine bottle deeply interesting. My mother whispered, "Please, not tonight." And under normal circumstances, I might have done what I always do: absorb, deflect, clean the emotional spill before anyone has to step in it. But something about being called a failure in my own mother's dining room after I had basted the chicken and paid her heating bill and picked up Vanessa's favorite wine because I knew she'd complain if it wasn't dry enough, finally reached the exact point where self-respect becomes louder than family conditioning. So I stood, not dramatically, not with shaking hands or broken voice. I just stood and said, "Actually, tonight seems perfect." No one moved. I left the dining room, went into my mother's study, opened the lower drawer of the desk, and returned with the blue accordion folder. Vanessa frowned. "What are you doing?" Ending a category. I placed the folder on the table. Inside were copies, not originals. I am not careless. Bank transfers, utility payments, pharmacy balances, home insurance supplements, property tax shortfall coverage, invoices for the contractor who repaired the bathroom handrail after Mom's fall, and a monthly spreadsheet labeled very plainly, household support, personal contribution, Lena Mercer. Vanessa actually laughed at first. I will never forget that. That tiny laugh of a person who assumes documentation cannot possibly concern her. Then she read, then she stopped. "If you're still here, comment 1. Because this is where performances start collapsing under arithmetic." My mother looked from the papers to me in open confusion. "Lena," she said quietly, "what is this?" I turned to her. "Not Vanessa. Always the wound before the performer. It means the pension hasn't been enough," I said. "Not for a while. I've been covering the gap. There's a laugh." Her face changed in slow motion. That's the only way I can describe it. Shock first, then hurt, then the deeper pain, realizing someone protected you by letting you remain comfortable inside a fiction. "You never said." "I know." Vanessa found her voice before anyone else did. "Why would you do this theatrically? If there was a problem, you should have told us." "Us?" I looked at her. "Should I have?" I asked. "Like when I emailed you last February about the medication cost increase, and you replied with a thumbs up?" Her mouth opened, closed. "Or when I mentioned the roof estimate and you said we should all be mindful because quarter end was intense for Greg?" My brother-in-law shifted in his chair. Poor Greg. He was complicit mostly through inertia, which is how many husbands become morally decorative. Vanessa stiffened. "I send money." I nodded. "At Christmas. In baskets." That one landed. To be fair, she had sent expensive fruit. Some people are emotionally multilingual in luxury gifts and absent in sustained obligation. My mother began to cry then, not loudly, not theatrically, just the quiet tears of a woman who realizes her daughters have been living in entirely different versions of the same family. And that broke something in me far more than Vanessa's insult had. I knelt beside her chair. "Mom, please don't cry." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have felt guilty. That wasn't your decision." "No," I said softly. "It was my love. There are truths you should not say at dinner because they make every other sentence in the room sound fake. That was one of them." Vanessa pushed back from the table. "This is unbelievable." "Yes," I said, standing again. "It is. That you could call me the failure while sitting in a house I've been quietly keeping afloat. Her eyes flashed. You always do this, make yourself the martyr. No. I make dinner. I make appointments. I make sure her lights stay on. My nephew looked up sharply at that. Good. Let the children learn reality young. The conversation after that was ugly in the ordinary family way. No overturned tables, no slaps, no dramatic exits into thunderstorms. Just truth, stripped of courtesy. Vanessa said I should have asked directly. I said I had, in the language available to responsible adults. She said she was busy. I said so was everyone. She said I was attacking her. I said no, I was correcting the record. My mother, finally, did the one thing none of us expected. She spoke with the voice she used when we were children and had mistaken noise for authority. Enough. Silence. Then she turned to Vanessa and said, You will never call your sister a failure again in my house. Vanessa went pale, because all her life she had mistaken being admired for being right. And for the first time in years, our mother had separated the two. A week later, we held a financial meeting. Actual numbers, actual commitments, automatic transfers, shared visibility. Vanessa participated, to her credit, not gracefully, but genuinely enough to count. People always want to know whether we reconciled. That depends on what you mean. Did we become best friends? No. Did she apologize? Yes, eventually, in the careful language of someone not yet comfortable with humility. Do I trust her completely? Of course not. Trust is not cake. You don't frost over cracks and call it celebration. But the category changed. I was no longer the family failure. I was the daughter who had been carrying the weight while others narrated the picture. And once that truth entered the room, it stayed. My mother is 77 now, stronger, sharper, still occasionally stubborn in ways that suggest survival may be hereditary. I still manage most of her logistics, though not alone. Vanessa contributes monthly. Greg handles insurance paperwork. My niece set up digital bill alerts and, to my secret delight, now thinks spreadsheets are a form of moral clarity. Every birthday since that dinner, my mother toasts both of us before dessert. And every year she says some version of the same thing to my daughters. One who learned success early, one who learned strength first. I can live with that.